Welcome everybody. I'm so glad you could be here. I can highly recommend the muffins from Juliet Sear, so please make sure you have one. We're here to talk about Gelida, as Charles and Susan say. I've had the privilege of getting to experience the treatments. They're not only really beneficial, but they feel amazing. And I think that what's interesting and so exciting is the innovation that it's bringing to this aesthetic space. And I'm going to let these lovely people talk about the technologies of that, but it's super fabulous. But what I want to start with is your founder, the person who's brought Gelida to the country, is Susan Mills. Very celebrated, very respected businesswoman for many years now. Now, Susan, I know that what Susan hates as much as she loves Gelida is being center stage. But I'm going to beg you to put modesty aside just for a few minutes today, because you've got an amazing story. You're a very successful businesswoman. You've been a single mum bringing up 3 children in all of that time. And really, I'm not going to speculate on your age, but I think it's fair to say you're probably at an age where most of us would start to think about slowing down rather than
should have retired
having a second life. So just quickly give us a brief potted history of your story today.
Right, I trained when I was 22 in aesthetics and did that for several years, had health clubs, that type of thing. And then I got pregnant with my first child, couldn't find a decent nursery. So I set up my own nursery, and that was a real success because I did it as a mother, not as a practitioner or anything else. It was literally what I wanted, I wanted my children to be looked after, in what surroundings, etc. That quickly filled up, and I got pregnant again, and this time it was twins. And so they were born 20 months later than Charles, and so we had to open a second nursery because that first one was full. So we opened the second nursery. Unfortunately, a few months after we'd opened that, my partner died. So I had 3 of them, all under 3, to sort of bring up. We just opened the second nursery, so that was really hard because when I sort of think back, we spent far too much money. And because I was teaching at the time, I didn't know as much about the finances and what we'd spent. But John, unfortunately, has spent too much. And so I was left with a lot of debt. Unfortunately, the insurance company didn't pay out, but that's another story. That's because a standing order didn't get paid, or there was some problem at the bank. So anyway, so he died. So I just had to throw myself into work, really. So I carried on teaching for a while. I used to teach aesthetics, aromatherapy, more the holistic side. And so literally we got the 2 nurseries running, and I was still doing that with the 3 children. And then I decided, that was too busy. So I kept my clinic for a while, but sort of sidetracked away from it because the nursery business has got so much bigger. So I had to concentrate more on that, really. And I also stopped my teaching then because I felt, that I needed to give that the time for that to grow, and spent lots of time in the nursery. I think the thing is, when I did my teaching, sort of just going back briefly, I couldn't get the right staff in the clinic. So every time I took someone on, I had to retrain them. And I thought that was just a farce. So I thought, well, if I go into teaching, then I can teach them the right way the first time, and then, everyone will benefit, which is what happened. So I would teach, and then the star pupil of the year, I would actually then employ. So that was really good for me. So that's what I did. But then obviously went into nurseries, successfully built that over some years. And then a couple of years ago, gone back to my roots, which is aesthetics.
It's incredible to think that your businesses are sort of like grow from your personal needs and your personal passions. So we'll get on to Gelida in a minute, but I'm absolutely fascinated hearing that story. I've got 1 child, and I find it a struggle to sort of like balance a career and the whole thing. I mean, in my defense, she's doing A-levels this very week, so it's quite stressful. Do you look back at that time of having 3 such young children and thinking, how the hell did I do it? And do you have any wisdom to share with us on how the hell you did it?
I don't know about the wisdom. Certainly enjoy it while they're little, because you constantly want them to get to the next stage. And the easiest stage is the smaller they are, without a doubt. And that beautiful little one I could just take now. I still love babies. I still go into the nurseries and spend time. Whatever business I've ever been in, I've always been very hands-on. So literally, I will go in the baby room and see to the babies. I do make sure that they're taking care of those children like I want them to take care of mine. And if they're not good enough to take care of mine, they're not good enough for anyone else's. And I think that's been my philosophy throughout life, really. And that's how I've been in the clinics. They have to be good enough. If they're not, I'd rather not employ them.
And I hope you don't mind me saying, it's like I've been to Susan's beautiful home in Nottingham, Lowndes Hall, and it is one of the most fabulous places I've ever been. So I would say she's very successful. Let's just say that. It's absolutely brilliant. So now tell me the journey with Gelida. How did it come to be that you became passionate about this now?
Right, so decided, put some weight on, obviously menopausal, very menopausal, and needed to do something about that. So I went to a clinic that I'd never been, just saw an ad, went to it sort of ad hoc really, had a treatment, had one of the suction cup fat treatments. Thought it was horrendous. I came out battered and bruised.
Did it hurt?
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable at all, because when they suck it all up, I mean, it's so unnatural as well. You are stretching the skin really when you're doing that. So it's sucking up all the fat. It can't be, you can't individualise an area, because you just got the 2 suction cups and that's it basically.
So it is amazing what we will put ourselves through, isn't it?
Crazy. I mean, I literally had to say I'd fallen down the stairs because I've got quite a few bruises on me. And then I was talking to the owner of the salon, and we were talking about things, and she said that she was looking. There is a new innovation and it's coming to this country, but she couldn't afford it because it was sort of just before COVID. She was looking at getting a loan to make up the shortfall, and I said, well, let me invest. It sounds wonderful. Let's have a look at it together, and if it's good enough, I think I can invest in you. So we looked at the machine and literally decided, well, it's fabulous. It does more than it does on the tin. During COVID, we literally worked on my staff. So some of the pictures on there where you see the before and after, some of my staff, because you had to be in those bubbles. So we're in our bubbles, and I was obviously doing the treatments on them. And we got great results. So literally, we decided to set up a company that could bring it to everyone, not just have a machine at someone's clinic. So that's what we decided